Okay, hello everyone. My name is Francesco Cantini and I'm a researcher, and I'm here with my colleagues Margherita, Fabio and Alessio. We are the Design for Sustainability Lab, and we are part of the Department of Architecture of Florence. We operate in the field of sustainability, applied to research and teaching, and we investigate the contribution to design to the difficult challenges of sustainability, understood in its broadest sense, such as environmental, social, cultural, and economic. The lab is a center for experimentation and critical thinking, where we develop projects from a multidisciplinary approach, focus on issues such as environment, society, and digital. We work across teaching and research, developing workshops and seminars, but even research projects at regional, national, and international level. And this is our lab, and this is Matrec. It's our material library that of more than 2,000 materials of natural and recycled origin. And this is Sente. Sente is one of our tools. It's a collection of digital technologies, sensors and actuators for sustainability. So for us, the sustainability paradigm represents the strategic framework in which the digital transition can find space. And both Matrec and Sente represent two precious tools for us. We want to talk to you about how we design and what we design. But for better define the context, we have to understand when and where we design. We design in the awareness that we have to change the way in which we see our context and consequentially change the way in which we design. The scenario is a socio-environmental context strongly characterized by instability, and in contemporary language this assumes and continue to assumes different definitions, becoming a geological era. For example, Anthropocene, Capitalocene, Cthulhucene, etc., etc. And now it's useful for us to better define the context, understand the notion of hyperobject offered by Timothy Morton. And for Morton, an hyperobject is a real event or phenomenon so vast, so big, that is beyond human perception and comprehension. For example, global warming or plastic pollution. So this is the question. This is what we ask to ourselves. How can we design in this time of trouble? We have some references that suggest us the way in which we can tackle this hyperobject, this time of trouble. And one of our references is Petr Kropotkin and his mutual aid. And he proposed the concept of mutual aid and showed that humans and animal life and evolution in general is based on cooperation rather than on struggle. Kropotkin observation seems to suggest us that when animals or humans found themselves in hostile context in time of trouble, mutual aid appeared very quickly. The second reference comes from Donna Haraway, and in particular from the book Staying with the Trouble. She suggests the notion of making kin and proposed the paradigm shift from reproduction to regeneration, so forming non-familiaristic and non-speciesistic alliances extraneous to the logic of similarity. So she suggests to create alliance, kinship. And another important reference, the third, for us is Marco Armiero and his very interesting glossary. He suggests the definition of Wastocene against the concept of Anthropocene. He said that the Wastocene is not a question of waste as object, but rather of wasting relationship. You want to avoid the reification of ecological question and focused on the socio-ecological relationships that produce waste communities. And he also say that wasting relationship can be fought with commoning practice. So make communities, make kin. So this is conceptual framework, this conceptual reference that take us to our perspective on the problem. And we are addressing a Nico-social perspective. It is a path, a promising path that can be rewritten and changed. And what we are trying to do with our project, that I will show you then, my colleagues will show you, is to make kin through commoning practices, aimed at correcting what Marco Romero defines wasted relationships. And we will show you some of our projects where we are working for a mutual aid between humans and humans, humans and non-humans. So, this is our three formulas that try to explain in synthesis some of our project, what we are trying to do. And from the right, human plus non-human on mutual aid, human plus human augmented on mutual aid, and human plus non-human on mutual aid. Now I leave the floor to my colleague Fabio, that will show you the way in which we apply this formula to the design project.
Thank you, Francesco. Let's change. So hello everyone, I'm Fabio Ballerini. I'm research fellow at the University of Florence and specifically at Lab Design for Sustainability. I'm not a designer, I'm graduated in international cooperation, and in the past years I worked as social worker for Cooperativa Sociale Odissea that manage shelters for asylum seekers and refugees, and for Terra di Tutti social enterprise, that is the case studies related to the human plus human perspective that we are going to present you today. Terra di Tutti is a social enterprise based in Capannori in Tuscany and founded by Cooperativa Sociale Odissea in December 2018 with three main aims: environmental sustainability, so to use waste materials and transform them into artisanal products; migrants work inclusion, so with the goal of creating work opportunities for the migrants and asylum seekers involved in the project; and intercultural crafts, so to enhance and develop the craft skills of refugees and link them to the local artisanal skills. One of the main missions of the social enterprise is to design with, not to design for, so involving migrants, asylum seekers, and people with fewer opportunities by asking them to play an active role in all the project steps. In these pictures, you can see Kalia and Musa, that are two Gambian guys, asylum seekers, that had a paid internship in our social enterprise. Terra di Tutti produces craft products such as wooden objects, bags, notebook cases, and so on. They are here in the Fuorisalone in Tortona, all'Opificio 31, if you want to visit them. And all the products are made by refugees and people with fewer opportunities recycling waste materials. The social enterprise organized also several workshops to involve local citizens and migrants in different projects about carpentry, tailoring, serigraphy, and printing. With this method, firstly, the purpose is to give them the opportunity to develop specific skills and then to offer to some of them an internship or a paid internship in the social enterprise. Since 2019, Terra di Tutti has a strong collaboration with Lab Design for Sustainability. During the first semester of the academic year 1920, around 30 university students plus researchers and professors were involved in a 6-month workshop following several aspects of the social enterprise development. So in this slide we can see the actors involved in the path. So we had like social workers, professors and researchers, asylum seekers, migrants and refugees, design students and local artisans. Regarding the methodological path, so the methodology that we use, we start from a desk analysis aimed at deepening several aspects such as the challenges of the intercultural society, the migration flow, the reception system, the design for social innovation, and case studies of social enterprise working in the same or similar field. After the desk research, we did a field research directly in the spaces of the social enterprise. In that step, the focus was on the skills and competencies of the refugees and asylum seekers and migrants involved, of the social worker, and also the focus was on the circular economy strategies of Terra di Tutti and the product and communication strategies. Then we designed an emotional map, we drafted an emotional map and we did a brainstorming session in order to collect the feedback after the field and the desk analysis. And then we identified the design strategies and the project scenarios to be developed until the final exhibition. Here we have some pictures of the different steps. So this is the first day in which the community, the group of Terra di Tutti went to the design campus so to present to all the design community its project. This picture is related to the field analysis in which Terra di Tutti organized an artistic workshop involving both migrants and students. Another picture of the field analysis. This picture is related to the brainstorming session in which we were collecting and writing down first impression and emotions, bringing together keywords and pictures in order to develop the first design ideas. During the workshop, the 6-month workshop, the students had the opportunity to visit weekly social enterprise in order to realize and test their prototypes. Finally, 14 projects were developed in terms of product, service, and communication, involving around 30 design students, 10 social workers, 5 migrant artisans, and 10 design researchers. After the final presentation, Terra di Tutti decided to select some projects in order to realize them and put them into production. So now we are going to present you 3 projects. The first one is called Nomad. Nomad is a retail project developed by 2 students, Alibek and Camilla, which aims to create a stand for participation in exhibitions, fairs, and events. This with the aim of designing and creating displays able to communicate the soul of the social enterprise and to enhance the products exposed. The students wanted to enhance the bicycle as a means of transport, but also of inclusion used by migrants to move on the local territory. This is why they decided to include the bicycle wheels as part of the stand. Nomad is a project of flexible, modular, and migrant structures that adapt to the hosting context. Unfortunately, due to COVID situation, Terra di Tutti hadn't the opportunity to participate in several events, but the idea is to bring and to keep the stand in the future exhibitions. The second project that we have there too is Storie in Viaggio. The translation is Stories on a Journey, and is a very interesting project developed by two students, Federica and Alice, who had the goal of creating evocative objects able to tell us about the trip that a lot of sub-Saharan migrants do to come here to Italy. The project was born from the travel story of Kalia and Musa, and from the ability of Federica and Alice to create a relation with them and a climate of trust that favored the sharing of personal travel stories. Here we have the pictures of the four objects that tell us about four very important steps of the journey. So the first one is the man walking. The man walking symbolizes the person who decides to leave his context of reference, the family, the friends, and start the long journey that will bring into Italy or to other foreign countries. The track represents maybe the most dangerous step of the journey, the crossing of the desert. Then we have the boat representing the crossing of the Mediterranean Sea, and finally the bicycle, that is the only one colored object that tells us about the means of transport that is commonly used by migrants and asylum seekers to move around the territory in order to find ways for them social and work inclusion. It's colored in red because red represents passion and resourcefulness. After that, the project were selected by the social enterprise. The teachers and professors of lab design for sustainability and the researchers too supported the implementation of the project, creating packaging, storytelling, motion graphic, and video editing. As you can see from this slide, the packaging becomes the object scenarios. Through the QR code at the top right, you can access as augmented reality contents with the animation of the scenario and travel stories, plus a video presentation of the social enterprise. This image represents the ship's reference scenario, while in the next one we have for example, the track reference scenario about the crossing of the desert. Each set contains a wooden object, a postcard with a message, a storographic map, a QR code, animated scenario, and an animated video about Terra di Tutti. Here we have some picture related to the different objects. And then the third project is the website of Terra di Tutti that was realized by 3 students, Giulia, Eleonora, and Lisa. They created the entire website and the subsections related to the mission, the project, the supply chain, and the e-commerce section. A part of that, they decided also to design an innovative a map, a systemic map, in which Terra di Tutti is at the core of an innovative network that is composed by different actors and stakeholders, such as private companies, NGOs, local citizens, lab design for sustainability, and public institutions. The aim is to attract the competencies needed to be and to stay on the market by structuring and enhancing a collaboration with all these actors. For a social reality as Terra di Tutti, is crucial to be focused not only on the production, but also on the innovative network able to support the growth of the social enterprise and its economic sustainability. So what emerged from dealing with human plus human design issues? Why we choose to collaborate with a social enterprise such as Terra di Tutti? The problem framing was the migrants' empowerment. So the theme of work occupy a central position within the identity processes, and by enhancing their professional skills and developing new ones, migrants can regain a leading role and be facilitated in their social inclusion processes. So in this case, the problem solving is related to the intercultural craft. So working with a reality as Terra di Tutti that daily works on that topic. And the most important thing is that during the collaboration between Lab Design for Sustainability and Terra di Tutti, social enterprise, the issues of to do with, to design and to realize together has played a very important and innovative role. These allow migrants, social workers, researchers, professors, university students involved in the project to play a co-protagonism role with an active participation in all the project steps. So thanks to you. Now I give the floor to Margherita for follow our presentation.
I will come here if you want to. Okay. Hello everyone, I'm Margherita. I'm, as Francesco already presented us, I'm a researcher from the Laboratory of Design for Sustainability. And today I will present you the intermediate formula after the human plus human on mutual aid. We will have and we will discuss about the human plus human augmented. Why this augmentation? And we will discuss it with this case study, which is Robocop. Starting from the funny acronym that we choose for this project, because we are researchers, but we are not boring researchers. And it's an acronym that, of course, is related to the main topics, which are the social cooperatives, but it's also related to, let's say, other macro topics that we will see together after this, related to the two main flows, innovation flows we can say, that of course are green transition and digital transformation. So Robocop stands for the full title, which is Augmented Reality, Advanced Storytelling, Blockchain in the Circular and Technological Innovation Process of Social Cooperatives. Partnership, a quick overview of the partners that we have in this project, which are Mediacross, the project leader and technological partner of the project, two social cooperatives, which are also not just the partners of Robocop project, but are also represents also the project main beneficiaries. Then we have us, the scientific partner and academic research entity and body, as the design for the laboratory design for sustainability that represents the University of Florence. And we have the administrative coordinator and cluster partner, which is DID, Distretto Interni Design. I have to say that the Robocop project, I will just go before. The Robocop project is a project that is activated, no, it's me. It is activated at a regional level, but of course with the European funding. So the case study is related to the Tuscany region with, of course, partners that interact with in that particular and specific territory. Macro topics of the project. We start, of course, with improvement and implementation and management of communication strategies through an advanced storytelling, the activation, management, and control of a territorial and digital network for the supply of waste materials, so joining these two material and also immaterial path. Strengthening of the production process thanks to the integration of enabling 5.0 technologies and reduction of production times. After the three macro topics, which we will see better in the next slides, the objectives of the project starts with detecting the needs and dreams of the social cooperatives involved. After that, the next steps is, of course, to outline, to define the technology and circular solutions that, of course, can be the best in order to have this empowerment of the social cooperatives involved. Then, of course, develop and outline a design strategy that comes most of all from the technological and, of course, design partners. Then we have to test with the stakeholders the outputs of the design strategy. Of course, stakeholders that are inside the partnership, so among the partners, but very important also outside the partnership, because it's very important to test the outputs with the external stakeholders in order to give sustainability in terms of time to the project. And then we have, of course, the development of the prototypes, and in order to understand, of course, the production of the outputs. And we will see that the outputs will be not just for product strategies, but also service and communication strategies. A quick overview to the keywords of the Robocop project, with starting, of course, with the social cooperatives empowerment. It's, as you just saw with the 32 case study, this is like the problem framing. So the empowerment of the two social cooperatives involved, but also not just these two, but keeping in mind that, of course, we can scale up this empowerment. Then, of course, we had to understand the environment, the design context of the that we had to tackle, and the complexity of the social world that represents the third sector. And of course, so their topics like solidarity and their very intimate and strong relationships with territories and communities, and of course their self-generated and autopoietic social innovation. In order to starting from these three topics, we have to understand how to expand these the opportunities for the social realities involved. So how? As you just saw from the full title of the project, we inserted in the project three main tools coming from the green transition and the digital transformation innovation flows. Of course, we have augmented reality in order to understand how to communicate in a more empathic way all the doings of the social cooperatives involved. Then the advanced storytelling, so creating digital narratives, not just narratives in an analogical way, let's say. And then we use the third tool, which is blockchain. Blockchain in terms, of course, in communicating the transparency and the circularity of and the sustainability of the production of the social cooperatives involved. With shifting the paradigm is just a statement that, of course, recap all the previous keywords and, of course, the core of the Robocop project. Then, very quickly, I will show you the design approach that we started, and we are still going with that, because Robocop project will it's a non-progress project, and it will end, if I'm not wrong, on November. And so it's really, we are in the middle of implementing all the activities. And then we had to understand, so how to develop a proper design approach. We had to understand the design context that we had to face, and of course the social cooperatives, because of course we are designers, we are researchers, and we are not very used to the just some of us, yes, but not all the research and design teams. So we had to understand the complexity of the world and the social world that we had to face, in order to, of course, see this very important topic, which is the self-generating social innovation, and also the ecological one. And understand that the social cooperatives interact as a system, and as a system, but also an ecosystem. And we will see after this why. So in order to understand all this complexity, we started by studying, of course, and to not just studying, but also building a systemic approach that can help us to understand the social actors involved, to communicate with them, but also to build a glossary of keywords and concepts that can help us as researchers and designers, but all the partners involved in the project. Then I will show you really a quick and very fast, a quick carousel, because maybe it's very boring, but we had to present this just to have a proper presentation of the project. So we started to understand and to study what is a system, okay, very, very basically, but not just from, here you can see, not just from a text, oh, sorry, now I remember that you are connected here. Not just from with bibliographical references and from a textual point of view, but also joining it with an iconographical point of view, which is very important, and also because they're beautiful ancient drawings, and from 18th century, if I'm not wrong. And it was very important in order to develop, the keywords, but also to start understanding how we can visualize and how can give shape to the products, to the product strategies, to the service strategies and communication strategy. So having these interconnected two paths, yes. After that, what is an ecosystem? Okay, but also what is an ecosystem? I'm here. Yes. Okay, don't worry. We are here. So also what is a system, but also an ecosystem. So with the technological part and this with this ecological component, and understanding the features, the characteristics of the system, which of course are these three, starting with these three: the openness, the interconnectedness, the balancedness, so this inner equilibrium. Then other typical features like multiplicity, scalability. They were very important for us in order to develop the outputs of the project. Then other keywords were ecology, of course, understand a social ecology, what is a social ecology, and how a social ecology interacts. And we join this keyword with, of course, iconographical references, starting with, for example, Ernest Haeckel, who was, if I'm not wrong, the researcher, who coined the term, the word ecology. And then, of course, other keywords which are autopoiesis, so the self-generation of social innovation, and Maturana and Varela were the two researchers that coined this new word, which is not coming from ancient Greek, but it's, on the contrary, a contemporary word. And then what is, of course, innovation, starting from specifically what is social innovation, and then how to interact and how to join the social innovation to the digital and also circular innovation. So, for example, starting to understand what is what we talk about when we talk about 5.0 scenario. So the interconnection with the 4.0, and of course all the European roadmaps and all this concept and this vision related and based on a more human-centric and sustainable and resilient industry, which was a topic that was more interconnected, let's say, with the social cooperatives actions. Then we go with, just to show you quickly another part of our design approach. So building these interdisciplinary references and building, of course, structuring a systemic approach by getting inspiration from nature, books, movies, and of course projects. I will show you very fast this carousel because it's just some pictures that we put here related to the books that because maybe we choose to do that because maybe it's very interesting also sharing the books, sharing the references, not just the bibliographical ones, but also the iconographical ones, because for research, but also for design, it's very, very important, we think. Then I will go quickly, as I promised. And so you see, of course, Papanek, which is one of the designers that was very, for whom was very important this social perspective together with the ecological perspective. Then, of course, Wall-E, it's a movie that we watched just to, you can study from the movies, you know, it's not so weird. And then, of course, other documentaries and other books, and then again other movies. And you can see that all the movies, that the books, and all the other projects that we reported here in this carousel can have this connection with the three flows that invest the Robocop project, which are the social innovation flows, the ecological flow, and of course the digital transformation flow. So we go very quickly, fast, to here. So after all this, let's say, huge, very huge research phase, which never really ends, we can resume our design approach with these two visualizations. So I hope you can see in a good way. Of course, we needed to develop an hybrid approach in order to build this systemic perspective of the Robocop project. And then, of course, you can see that this hybrid approach comes from a more design-driven action to the project. Of course, in the middle, imagine that there is the Robocop project activities. So comes from a more design-driven action of the partnership and all the partners, which is more a top-down approach. And of course comes from also the joint with a more co-design actions, which comes more from the social world, and it's more a bottom-up. We can recap this as a bottom-up approach. And these two, of course, this vertical way, this vertical approach, of course, create the design process that we implemented, and this hybrid and systemic approach. Of course, another pattern that a design pattern that was outlined and was highlighted after all the design process, which is still ongoing, it's this immersion to the design context. It's a pattern very important in order to understand the context, the design context, in order to frame the correct problems, the correct design issues, in order to find the correct solutions. So I will go very quickly then to the design results and the methodology. I will present the design results of the Robocop project in connection to the methodology that we used. Of course, keep in mind that it's still ongoing, it's an ongoing project, and not all you won't see, for example, design results, outputs already developed like Terra di Tutti and the other case study that Alessio will present to you. Then, okay, the back, the skin of the okay, so we go with the conceptual framework. The conceptual framework is a tool that it's a map, it's a systemic map, of course, but we, let's say, baptize it as a conceptual framework. We remained it as a conceptual framework. It's a very useful tool that us as researchers from the Laboratory of Design for Sustainability use a lot. because it's very important for us, and it's something that we used a lot because it helps us to understand the complexity of the design context that we have to face. Of course, coming from, for example, in this particular conceptual framework, coming from on the left, from the issues and the geographical also context that we had to design with, and also coming from the left to the center, and then on the right developing all the design strategies in terms of communication, service and product. For example, for the Robocop project, we had to as the product strategy, we had to develop, we will have to develop a collection of products coming from the competencies and productions of the two social cooperatives involved. As a service strategy, we will implement and develop and prototype a digital platform together with a circular and territorial platform. And then as communication strategies, of course, it's like a transversal flow that interacts with the service and product ones. There will be communication strategies that will, with the technology, so with the advanced storytelling, with the advanced reality also, can communicate in a better way the social cooperatives activities. Then after that, we had to implement a territorial analysis, starting from detecting the material and immaterial flows of the social cooperatives, not just produced by the social cooperatives, but also that they used in their production, in their sustainable production. So material flow coming from the waste materials, and then the immaterial flows coming from the competencies and the relationships. This is just an overview of how we collected this data, this territorial analysis, and of course the two tools were interviews and focus groups. This is just an overview of the tools and the interviews tabs that we, and of course the questions that we used and we produced. And this was let's say another map, as you can see, a systemic map, a system map also. And this is a picture, so it's not, it was made handmade and let's say analogical version, because it was very important and also a lot of fun for us to draw, okay, in order to understand all the data collected, to put in relation all the data. And after this handmade version of the interpretation phase of the data collection, of course, we digitalized the system map. So this is another, for example, also another, let's say, perspective of the previous system map. The iconographical reference is always the rhizomes, so the roots, in order to also, from a graphical point of view, to express these relationships, these intimate relationships with the territories and communities of the social cooperatives. And then, of course, there are the relations, the competencies in the middle, and the waste materials on the top. I'm sorry, this is in Italian. We hadn't the chance and the time to translate it in English, but of course I think it's understandable, the process. And after this system map, we produced another system map with this one is more with the design strategies, because of course there is in the middle these lines express the waste material flow, and so the material flow, and the two, the twinned, let's say, balloon on the top left and on the bottom right represents the top left, the relationships, of course, the already activated relationship, but also the relationship that can the social cooperatives can activate in the future, and then the competencies and skills, the competencies already acquired, but also new skills for the future. New skills for the future that, for example, are a lot related to digital skills and also green skills. The same, for example, for the relationships, we as designers and researchers, we inserted in this system map design strategies related to how to connect to activate connections in the territory that can be that can better and can empower the social cooperatives sustainable production, but also competencies and all other items and topics. Then after this carousel of system maps that were more related to the service strategies, in order to implement, to start develop the product and communication design strategies, we thought that it was better to organize a co-design workshop, not just with the partners, but also with design students coming from the bachelor degree and also the master degree of design from the University of Florence. So this is just a carousel and an overview of all with the pictures of the field analysis that we did with the students in the workshops of the two social cooperatives involved. It was very interesting, not just, of course, interacting with all the stakeholders of this co-design workshop, but also observing, having this participative observation of the students and all other partners interacting in this design context. Then after that, we developed with the students an emotional map, so another map tool, in order to understand their also their feeling, to write down their feelings and also their sensations, but also their perspectives, because it's very important to let's say to insert and to involve design students, let's say students of course, but in this occasion design students, because they bring a new perspective, a young perspective to the design context. So it was very, very important, very stimulating, and very it was really a rich perspective coming from them. These are other pictures. And then after, of course, all the mapping, all the sharing of the emotions and feelings, we developed the design strategies for the students. We developed also the teamwork groups. And of course, there were, for example, if I'm not wrong, 10 groups. Five of them worked on product strategies, and other 5 worked on the communication strategies. Here are some pictures of all the work done. And another thing that I will just say, it was very important because it was, I think, maybe not the first, but the second co-design workshop that we did after the pandemic. So it was very important, not just for us, but also for the students come back in present to do things with, not just within them, but also with stakeholders coming from research and development projects, from so getting in touch with the professional context, let's say, like, and research context also. So I will finish, thankfully now. Then why, just to have a quick recap, why augmented? Just to recap the formula, human plus human, and we have this expression for the augmentation. Augmentation because, of course, related to the mutual aid. Augmentation, because it's not just the human plus human relationship, but this relationship is augmented and is deeply influenced by these three, let's say, contemporary innovation flows that, of course, comes from the social change, the green transition, and the digital transformation. Tackling and keeping these three innovation flows together in the design process and with the design approach, of course, helped us to develop a systemic approach, as you can see on the right part of this last slide. So that's it from me, and then I give the floor to Alessio.
Just a moment. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much, Margherita. And I'm Alessio Tanzini, technologist and designer in Laboratory of Design for Sustainability. And today I speak to you about a research project called Smart Garden. But before this project, I want to introduce the last part of our presentation in the last formula that say human plus no human on mutual support, because this formula want to inform us how it's possible to build a bridge between human and human being life and no human, and this formula will be expressed in the SMART project. So this project started in 2018 and it ended in 2020, and it was realized in collaboration with two companies, Toscan companies. The first one works with travertine stone, and the second works with marble stone. And this project aims to link the human being life with, in this case, the vegetal life. So the stone sectors is very present in the Tuscany, and the economy around this sector is very flourishing. So this is why we have choose this company for our work. So you can see the subtitle, how it's possible to build an hybrid system of human, technological and biological products. Here, our research group and the coordination group, Distretto Interni Design. And before talking about the smart garden, I wanted to show some slide about of the set and the context around this project. Design complexity. So we have forgotten that we have not alone in our planet and the Earth, our planet, and we are a part of ecosystem that includes biosphere, sociosphere, technosphere, and the Earth is organized with micro and macro organisms and organisms that cooperate together for the planet life. So the world should be considered a set of complex systems that interacting with each others, and these systems is in equilibrium. So as a designer, we must take in consideration that the complexity of reality. And it's important to adapt a multidimensional and dialogical design thinking. This phrase best express the arguments that we deal. Design of the complexity of reality doesn't mean doesn't not mean guaranteeing the development of a single system, but of increasing the capacity of relations between systems, social, cultural, natural, political, economic, making them cooperate as an organic whole. So the quality of the product system is measured by the ability to create a relationship among these or between these components. And based on these considerations, the role of designers made to build relationships. This slide show the free system or free sector that we have chosen for our project: environment, people, and digital technologies. And we see that the system is in which we live and we design is a complex set of heterogeneous relationships. So understand it could lead us to be more sustainable or have more sustainable behaviors. The SMAC project is in the center of the graphic and try to keep all of this sector, all of these aspects together and to make them act as a single hybrid system for the common goal for the life of the planet. And building relationships mean bringing these components or these systems, all the system that we see before in the previous slide, closer and creating correspondence. And this is possible thanks to the IoT. Smart Garden does this, and Smart Garden generate relationship between human and non-human, or in our case, or in this case, between human and vegetal life, and bringing this system more closer thanks to the IoT. We think that the IoT is the best way to put in communication these sectors, the sector that we have chosen for our project. In these scenarios, the design or the designers make an important contribution, and we have tried to give a perspective or to give our contribution to respond to the questions we deal with. So the SMAC project invite people to get closer to the nature and propose strategies for development a new urban ecosystems. The goal is to stimulate the relationship between human and plant, and this is possible thanks to the IoT. And these collections is an outdoor collection, furniture outdoor collection for is a collection of the outdoor stones aimed to create a relation between human and non-human, and this collection is equipped with sensors and actuators that monitors the environment around the furnitures and monitors the vital parameters of the garden, and both collections, travertine and stones, the travertine collection is for the private public space, and the marble collection is for the private space or garden. This slide shows the partnership. So you can see the scientific partner, DIDA department, agriculture department, and the laboratory design for sustainability, and technical partner, Arredo di Pietra, which works with travertine stones, Up Group, which works with marble stones, and Nuvap, it is company for technological part. You can see one of the object here, but I introduce water value. This is the first collections the first collection for public space. Water value is where it was realized with travertine stones, and this seat allowed to catch the rainwater for the plant life. This seat, this bench, combine traditional technologies with high innovative technologies, and you can see in the middle of the vase there's a big hole for the soil and for the plants and the roots, and around this big hole there's 3 terracotta jars for water storage. And the particular shape of this bench, the top of the bench is inclined by 2% toward the centers, so allows the rain to slide in that directions. And the special channels around of the big hole help the waters go inside of the terracotta jars. Here you can see in the picture on the left the water sharing system in detail, and in the picture on the right you can see the 3 terracotta jars with the water and the little channels. And the terracottas is able to give away the waters, so these kind of irrigations keep the soil moist but not wet, and avoid the proliferation of bad herbs or fungi. And this kind of irrigation helps the roots to absorb the water that they need. Here, the slides show the first technological part, or 2 sensors, important sensors. In the picture on the left, it's possible to see in green an ultrasound sensors was placed in the top of the jars and monitor the rise of the water. This sensor is very important because allows us to be informed of the need of the soils or for the irrigations. At the same time, it's possible to see the special channels in the top of the bench. These channels help to take out the excess of water, especially when the soils is wet or during the wet weather. The picture on the right show the moist sensors, and these sensors is very important because give us a real conditions of the plants or of the soils or the roots, and monitoring all of the plant conditions. The environment detections and the soil detections is well expressed thanks to these unit controls. In these unit controls was installed all of the sensors, and this unit controls is connected to the electrician network. And the sensors installed on the unit control are for the air, volatile organic compound, CO2, PM 2.5, PM 10, humidity, temperature of the air, CH4, and atmospheric pressures. For the soil is temperature of the soil, humidity of the soil, and pH for the soil. Here is possible to see some pictures about work processing, and here some pics about water value during the Stra Design exhibition in 2019 in Florence. Si è bloccata. Okay. Sorry. The same work processing has been used to realize the second travertines collections called Litus. And Litus has the same geeks and the same low technology that we see before in the water value. The system is interconnected by mobile app, and this app gives us the information about of the garden and the data collect about of the sensor, and each person can be aware and can take care of the garden thanks to this app, and at the same time can be more conscious about of the environmental health and the garden needs. Another screens of the app, and all of the data collected is sent to by a cloud, by Wi-Fi, and or Bluetooth. And this is important because this is the systems with the people that live the garden, the gardener, and it is important because this slide shows the urban ecosystem that I told before. So the goal is in fact to build a widespread intelligence. This is the second outcome. This is the second collection that you can see some piece. This collection called Sette Nani, Seven Dwarfs, and it was realized in marble stones for private space. Some picture about of dwarfs, and this collection was inspired by the fairy tale Snow White and Seven Dwarfs. The same unit control that we see before is installed in the dwarfs, and each of these dwarfs monitored the parameters of the garden and the environment around them, and each dwarf is equipped with sensors and actuators. And for example, the environmental or the soil parameters are communicated with the through the feedback associated with a specific dwarfs. For example, the air control will be reported by Sneezy, and it is possible to see the unit control that is inside of the dwarfs in a special hole or hole support, and is protected by the hat to shelter from the rain. And here in the picture on the left, it's possible to see the docks. Dock is the dwarfs that host the unit control, and dock is the biggest one. And you can see the base of the dwarfs. The 4 cuts around the base of the dwarfs allow the passage of the air for the right function of the unit control. And the green light that you can see here give us the feedback about the right function or malfunction of the dwarfs. Now the green light, so it's okay, but I try to move the dwarfs. I don't know if there's a earthquake, and okay, that's a earthquake and the balance sensors, and now give us that's something wrong. So if I take my app, and with my app I see that something's wrong. Okay, I push yes. Okay, and now that's okay. So in conclusion, very quickly, this is the unit control. That's not the slide. Okay, yeah. That's the unit control, and the case of the unit control, it was realized by 3D printing with PLA and ABS filament. And this is some give for better understand the elements inside of the unit control and the function of the unit control. Okay, go on. In conclusion, the smart garden perspective, if you remember the formula, human plus no human or mutual aid support. So smart garden want to build a bridge between human and non-human life, want to reconstructing the bond between these two life forms, and want to give us more conscious or more awareness about the interrelations between humans plus non-humans and mutual aid supports. So thank you so much. I give the floor again for my colleagues.
Yeah. Poi. So, as you have seen in the presentation, what we try to do is to apply these three formulas to the design project. And this is what we mean when we talk about an eco-social perspective. And so this is how we are addressing this eco-social perspective in different ways. And but as I said at the beginning, it is a path that maybe will change in the future. And because if you think about it, there is no mathematical law that lasts forever. They all have limits, and what we do is to investigate that limit, to carry out research through design. I hope that we don't bore you, and this is our contact, and thanks for the attention.